This situation just gets worse and worse. This is part 3 of the Con of Once Upon a Con videos I've been making. If you haven't seen the first 2, definitely go back and watch those. I'll link the first one right here. You may be tired of hearing about Once Upon a Con, but it's not over. For all the people that are owed money, this is still going on for them. We still can't just let this one go. Let's talk about the doubloons. First of all, they said that they were going to pay back authors on August 29th. Then on August 29th, they sent out an email. They said they would pay back authors in 3 waves. Wave 1 would receive payments on August 31st. Wave 2, they would receive their payments on September 4th. And Wave 3 on September 18th. Unfortunately, no one has been paid yet, and no author knows of any other author that is in Wave 1 that would have already received their payment. As I'm filming this, it's September 5th, and no one has come out and said that they've been paid back for their doubloons.
Okay, so if you're not up to date on the latest drama with Once Upon a Con, they were supposed to start payments to authors and staff yesterday, August 29th, for doubloons and room refunds and whatever else they owed money for. Most of us just got emails. Some people got nothing. My email said that I am in the 3rd wave of payments and I will have to wait until September 18th. I have yet to see a single person who is in the 1st wave who supposedly got paid yesterday. So if that is you, could you just raise your hand? Let me know that this is actually happening, that we're getting money, and I can depend on this pay structure.
So who is in this 1st wave? No one has come out and said that they have received payment. And it's September 5th, and still no one has said they received anything. And so I'm just hesitant to believe that, because there's a ton of other authors. If an author got paid, they would have jumped into the comments and said, hey, I got my payment, to give the other authors hope that they would receive something eventually.
So some people have been asking for updates about Once Upon a Con and their repayments. And the truth is that we don't have any. Authors and staff members have been very loud in the Discord since some emails went out very late on Friday. There are still several people waiting for emails that have gotten no info about repayments, and the con chair has absolutely disappeared from the Discord. She has essentially not responded to a single thing, although there have been claims that a few people have been removed from the Discord over the weekend.
So this video was filmed 4 days ago on September 1st. So this is still relevant because no one has heard anything yet. So let's talk about this. We have an author that posted an update. A quick update, there has been no communication between organizers and people waiting to be paid. Cosplayers, staff, and some authors are still waiting for a pay date. They have deleted the entire public Discord. We still have our staff Discord for now, and that's possibly in thanks to Atlas Creed, who is another one of the authors who was in attendance, who let them know that nuking it would be erasing evidence. I'm irritated, to say the least, because I could really use the money I loaned them, but I feel even worse for my fellow authors who fell victim to the AML scam and are out even more money after personally being invited by the con chairs. Not to mention cosplayers and staff who say they are out hundreds to thousands of dollars. So Sarah Hines here is talking about how the Discords are being nuked. So the public Discord no longer is a thing. Not only that, people are being removed en masse. I'm seeing so many comments about people saying, oh, I was removed from the Discord, I can't see anything anymore. So the staff Discord that's apparently still out there, people are being removed from it if they speak out against anything, or if they say, hey, where are the payments? If they ask any questions, they get removed. And in the Discord, that's the only place where people are able to get information and updates about when they're going to get these payments. So they have to be in the Discord, and it's silly that they're just kicking them out. And also, when people DM them on Instagram or try to reach out to them in other ways, they get blocked. When people reach out to them asking for the agreed upon amount that they were contractually owed, they get blocked on social media. that is not a way to run a business. This is a business. This isn't just a con. This is a business, and they're just acting ridiculous. Not only that, they're literally ghosting everybody.
Hey there, friends, Fo and Faye. I'm back again with more Once Upon a Con updates. I know. I'm tired of it. You're tired of it. I'm not done talking. So, this week, the second wave of reimbursements for authors was supposed to go out. I have several friends who were told that they were going to be in the second wave of reimbursements. And surprise, surprise, they didn't show up. I know. I'm shocked too, guys. I swear. Now, here's the thing. A lot of authors received an email telling us when we should expect our reimbursements. I was told I would be in wave 3, which would be the week of September 18th. But I had several friends that were told that their reimbursements would be coming this week. We have emails that tell us this. Have any of those reimbursements shown up? No. But wait, it gets worse. So last week, I believe it was last week, it might have been earlier this week, one of the con organizers posted on the Discord that due to the strain on her mental health, she would no longer be answering anything in the Discord. People are still asking questions, trying to figure out when their money is supposed to show up. There's been no answer from the con organizer. There is also, as of right now, and I'm checking Discord just to double check, but there has also been no response from the new board members either. So there are now 3 people on the board for Once Upon a Con, and we have gotten communication from 0 of them. Yeah. A lot of people have been sending emails, and guess what? They're not getting responses there either. So we know at this point that Once Upon a Con owes authors, specifically authors that I'm speaking from my experience and the experience of my friends, thousands of dollars. I don't think that they ever had the money. I don't think that they can cover what they owe us, and now they're just ghosting everyone. Yeah, it's not good, guys. It's bad. It's really bad. So if you want to support the authors that were affected by Once Upon a Con, please buy our books, review our books. We want to write stories and sell them to people who pay us money. And the fact that we went to a con that we believed everything that we were seeing and then got screwed, some of us, out of hundreds and hundreds of dollars it's bad, y'all. I hate it. I hate making these videos, but I was there and it happened, and I'm not going to be quiet about it just because they're not answering anymore. So if those reimbursements ever start to show up, I'll let you guys know. If we get any more news, like Wave 3 on the week of September 18th, I'll let you guys know. But as of right now, I don't think any of us are ever going to see a single cent, and considering that we're all being ghosted, I don't think we're going to hear anything either. So this is your reminder. Don't go to Once Upon a Con in 2026. Things have degraded significantly over the last couple of weeks since the convention ended. They are still supposed to be throwing an event in 2026, and at this point I have no faith in anyone who is organizing things, and neither should you. Until next time, I'm Jen Carner, and I write queer fantasy and horror books. Yeah.
You heard it there. So Jen is in the 3rd wave of payments that are supposed to go out. So Jen's not going to hear anything until the 18th. Hopefully they hear something, and they're going to keep everybody updated. So if you want to follow Jen on social media and get the first updates. You know, as an author, you go to an event like this most likely and you're expecting, okay, it's going to be pretty straightforward. I'm going to have a table and I'm going to sell some books. And why does it have to be like this? It's just so stupid. It's so stupid. So in my first video, we talked a lot about the staff experience. And I wanted to talk about the staff experience when it comes to cafe specifically. So let's look at what cafe is, and we'll talk about that a little bit. Here we have it, the website Once Upon a Con. If you go to events and you click on cafe, you come to this page. So cafe, dine at the cafe. It looks great. Look at this image they have here. Looks fantastic. Cafe is Once Upon a Con's twist on the traditional anime convention maid cafe. This will be a fae-themed maid cafe styled after the traditional maid cafes of Japan, all for charity. See that? All for charity. If you're an anime fan, these are already familiar to you. Sit down, eat and drink, and play games, take pictures, meet the fae members of our amazing team. All profits raised from the cafe will be given to Make-A-Wish Foundation. And they have this image, Make-A-Wish. And you can click on it, and it takes you straight to Make-A-Wish America. So seems pretty legit. As someone who is attending a con, you see something like this. Like, why would they lie about this, right? Then it says, where will the cafe be located? The cafe will be located in the Gaylord National Resort and Convention Center's Cherry Blossom Ballroom, directly in front of the gazebo. That would change. They would actually be put in a boardroom, in a conference room with 6 tables. So that is not what happened. And we'll learn more about that too, but let's go through here. So do I need to make reservations? Yes. Reservations will be required before the convention. The cost is $30 per person, whether you're reserving for yourself or for a group of up to 10 people. Specialty themed menu items will also be available for purchase. Will there be items on the menu that are allergy vegan friendly? Yes, there will be gluten-free and vegan friendly options on the menu. And so there you have it. This is what attendees thought they were getting. Something, an experience, something worth $30, right? So to talk about the whole cafe situation, I found Lizard on TikTok, also known as Micah, and they go by they, them. They have some really amazing, well thought out videos. And I just wanted to mention that this is Micah's second con that they've ever participated in. They just helped out with Otakon, which was like the week before this. So they were very fresh and very new. And they were being put in situations that were incredibly hard because they were such a new staffer and they were having to basically run cafe. Which is just unacceptable for the con organizers to put this staffer in this position. And just to remind everyone, and if you don't know, staffers weren't paid by Once Upon a Con. They were actually promised rooms and food and some special perks, but they weren't paid. But they didn't receive anything for their help and their volunteer work at the con. So I wanted to mention that as well at the top. But in Micah's video here, they mentioned something that really like made me alert, and so we'll watch this. But when you get a chance, definitely go check out Lizard on TikTok and watch their videos. They're just incredible, the way that they go through and talk about everything that they experienced.
I know we had an all-hands meeting in Discord around August where we found out not only did we have several departments without a head, Kiri and Elena had their fingers in every department. I found this odd as they cannot be in every place at once, but I still assumed that the con would be on the small side. I never met any other department head during this all-hands, and the info was absolute bare minimum with nothing about cafe. I worked Otakon the week before, and on Sunday of Otakon's time, don't remember the exact date right now, they had announced a last-minute final all-hands meeting at 5 p.m. the day of the meeting that was supposed to take place. Many of us working had staffed Otakon, meaning we had already worked 30 to 40 hours, including myself. Not all of us were home by then, and we had some emergencies happen in my department at Otakon, including one of my own, where I was actually in the emergency room. We expressed that, and we were assured that there was going to be a transcript /and/or recording. The time was again changed to 7 p.m., stating that they sent an email, but me and many others never got a single email about the all-hands meeting. The recording was posted a day or two after the initial meeting, but when I let Carrie know that I couldn't hear anything, nor who the other person was, I'm hard of hearing, they only told me who was talking and never uploaded a transcript as they went off script for their slides. On the topic of emails, I received 2 official email announcements from Kiri. One on April 9th, which stated there was to be a bi-weekly email and then one on August 3rd. There was never any other email communication. The staff Discord had some updates, but Cafe itself never got an update until the Tuesday before the con, August 12th, and it was in the Discord only. We got some slides containing very limited information, and we never had an introduction to who was going or any other information. Again, this is not on G who made those slides. Please let me explain for G. Thursday came around. We were supposed to start setup at 5 p.m. and to expect to be there for 4 to 5 hours. It was an annoyance they waited so long, as I wouldn't be back to my house 10 to 11 p.m. as I wasn't staying at the hotel, and we had to be there by 9:30 the next morning. Remember, I was staying at the hotel, so I had to travel between 30 to 40 minutes, depending on traffic at the time of the morning, especially when I was leaving at like 7:30 in the morning. It took a little while, and yeah, I didn't get much sleep. I later found out it was because there was another convention happening and packing up at the same time, but as the running theme goes, there's no communication from Kiri and Elena directly. We were just kind of getting word of mouth at this point. I meet up with G, and they are at the hotel lobby desk. They tell us they've been waiting there since 4 p.m., an hour already since we showed up at 5, trying to figure out the hotel. The Gaylord has no card on file for staff, and they wanted to put G's card on hold temporarily until Kiri and Elena came around to switch the card to theirs. We left G after a while as they were trying to get a hold of Kiri and Elena. After some time, we met together in the cafe room. We were supposed to be in the Cherry Blossom Ballroom. We were instead in a business meeting room with 6 10-top tables and nothing else. G met with us and said that Kiri and Elena had our decorations because Kiri and Elena refused to send them to G's house so that all the decorations were together with G. Elena did briefly come over to us, and she was there for about 5 minutes, like, max. In that time, I don't have this on my notes, but in this time, the only real thing that she told us was that suddenly there was now 6,000 attendees, which was significant more than the 800 to 1,000 that we initially had prepared for.
Did you hear that? They were initially prepared to just have 800 to 1,000 guests, and that's what the staff was thinking at the time. And then they're being told there's 6,000. Excuse me? Your staff was completely unprepared for what they were about to deal with. And I know a lot of people are saying there definitely wasn't 6,000 people here, but there was more than 1,000, I would say. I don't know. So somewhere between 1,000 and 6,000 is just a lot of miscommunication and stupidity. And why wouldn't they just tell them how many people were going to be at the con, and they're hearing 6,000? And also, they moved Cafe from this really pretty ballroom to, a conference room with some tables. I'm just imagining something very lackluster. When I think conference room, I don't exactly think, ooh, magical cafe, cafe, amazing. I'm not picturing that. Also, at one point, Micah mentions that some staff members were staying with generous attendees since they had nowhere to stay, which is so incredibly nice of those attendees for helping out. It's just crazy that had to happen, but I'm happy that they were super nice and let some people stay with them. There were also some staff members that stayed together at the Hampton Inn, which was it was annoying to go back and forth from the Hampton Inn, I heard. But some of the staff members managed to get a room at that hotel, which is fine, but they didn't get reimbursed or anything, so they got zero pay, zero anything out of this. If anything, they all just lost a ton of money by helping out with this con. In Micah's videos, they say that on Friday for the cafe, they didn't have food delivered until around 2 p.m., so late in the afternoon. So there were about 4 or 5 sessions that took place before 2 p.m., and people were showing up for these sessions that they paid $30 for, but they were like, hey, we don't have any food. Would you like to reschedule, or would you like to get a refund? When they finally got food at 2 p.m., they didn't have any plates to put the food on. So the food that they bought with their own money, because they had no choice, because no one else was going to help them, they bought food with their own money, and they had plates. Someone had some Zoo Pals plates in their car, and so a lot of people were alarmed at the fact that there were Zubal plates and like laughing about it. But it was a staff member that just happened to have some plates, and so they were using those. And so they were trying to do with whatever they could with whatever they had. And a lot of attendees, I mean, I'm sure a lot, if not all attendees that went to Cafe know that the staff were buying everything, and they knew that it wasn't the staff's fault, for the most part, hopefully.
We had to turn away the first like 4 to 5 sessions on Friday because we had absolutely nothing. We gave everyone the chance of rescheduling, hopeful that we would have food at least later in the day or by the next day, Saturday, or just giving them the information for refunds. I want to say it was about 60-40 with the most choosing a refund. During the downtimes between sessions, I was running around getting the panel names, times, and etc., and letting people know after about 10 to 15 minutes that their panelists were not showing up most likely. We had a lot of panelists quit, get stuck in the storm traffic, etc., and I was trying my hardest to be in 3 places at once while still checking the staff and public Discord when I could to get updates. I let people know that they could hang out in the panel room to figure out where to go next, or they could join us in Cafe instead if they wanted to and just chat with us. We would hang out with them instead for free. I was also helping navigate everyone to everything, and I very quickly found out where all of OAC was. There was no signs for anything. One of our Fae went to CVS last minute to make a poster board sign. The screens were not updated to show the panel at all, so we were kind of relying on other attendees to tell us where things were or to give us an idea where the things were on Guidebook, because even Guidebook wasn't being updated. So we finally get food around 2-ish. I don't remember the exact time. I was in so many places at once, but I never got an official time of like where exactly things were. But we had no plates at this time. One of our fellow Fays grabbed the first thing they had in their car, the infamous Zoo Pals. When I say you guys had the best option, it was Zoo Pals, bathroom paper towels, or your hand or table. You guys probably prefer the Zoo Pals, I promise. We worked with other staff who did pay out of pocket to get the best food that we could, including advocating to make sure allergen and diet restricted people had at least something. Yes, it was just popcorn or chips, but it could have been nothing. And I say that as someone who is also gluten-free, and I have my own allergies. I really do understand like the difficulties with that, and I felt terrible for these other people who have these allergies. And you probably heard me tell you, hey, they're the shitty chips. That's all we got. I'm so sorry. We also had to work around having no fridge. Kiri and Elena did have a suite that included a full-size fridge, which we had planned to put cafe and staff food in. I don't think we ever got a hold of them or permission to use it. I honestly have no idea what happened there. We just knew that we could have used Kiri and Elena's fridge, but I digress because I don't know exactly what happened there, and I'm not going to assume. Any food left over, including open or refrigerated food left over, went directly to staff. Speaking of staff food, Thursday we got nothing, including anyone who waiting for hotels. Friday we had breakfast paid by staff, which was absolute basics. At Friday 3 p.m. we got cup noodles, instant potatoes, rice, instant mac, and a few other things, including what was left over from cafe. So for Friday dinner we were supposed to grab a Chipotle or Potbelly gift card. However, it didn't happen due to like the Gaylord issues of like having food brought in, a whole range of excuses, which I don't know were all true or false. Those were what were given to us. And also when we were supposed to have time to grab any of this, because we had to leave the convention center. And I know for cafe, we didn't have time to be running out and doing things, along with being able to actually enjoy the con at some point. Staff are desperately trying to make food happen, so I'm not upset with what they grabbed at the end, because they were trying so hard. The reason that we got like instant mac and a lot of these instant foods of like rice and mashed potatoes was because they were trying to advocate for those who had allergies, because a lot of us did have those allergies. So we were desperately trying to figure something out. Back to cafe, we were still open to people who wanted refund information because we knew this was far from what the attendees had paid for. I was very honest with everyone coming into the door, at least on Friday, as much as I could. We had no games, hardly any food or drink, no Polaroids, no performance, and no way to take tap payments. We also had about 4 to 5 people working at a given time. I was front of house / honorary pub safety / co-department head at this point. And then we had a department head, G. Then we had one worker who was working from home and had already worked at Otakon and was just tired, understandably so. One worker was there for the most part, but also had worked Otakon and they actually took over another panel too, and they were in and out. Two workers who were part of the fashion show and checked in when they could, and they spent the most amount of time with us. Two workers had previous engagements and checked in when they could, one of which they also took over a panel, at least. I don't know if they took over more. Our cosplay guest was there for about 2 sessions. I think they may have left or had previous engagements, but they were very honest about not being able to work there very often, all the way on Thursday, so we already knew that they weren't going to be there 24/7 with Cafe.
So they had all of the, the food that the staff was promised. They didn't get any of that. They didn't get their rooms comped. They were essentially homeless in DC with no food, no nothing, and no payment for all of this work they were doing. They were literally holding the convention on their shoulders, and they were being told to just, you're not getting anything. So they were supposed to get a gift card, for dinner, and they didn't even get that. And I think what's incredibly not true is about the whole you're not allowed to have food on Gaylord premise. What was all the food that everyone was bringing on premise anyways? And so I'll speculate about that because that doesn't make any sense. And also, why did they plan to feed their staff through gift cards if they didn't think that they would be able to do that? Wouldn't you clear that with the hotel ahead of time if it would be an issue? Also, when was the staff going to have time to leave? Just as they were just saying in the TikTok, how were they going to have time to actually leave and get food off site? They were working their tails off. They were literally unable to do anything but work. And so they were literally surviving on scraps of food and exhaustion, and they were barely sleeping. And I've watched a lot of these videos where these staff members were all saying they slept like 2 to 3 hours a night, and they were, working on basically sheer exhaustion and no food, and they weren't getting anything out of this. They got nothing out of this. They got no pay, no nothing, no perks, nothing, 0% received from this convention, and that's incredibly unfair. Just go to Lizard's profile or their Instagram and you can get all of these parts. They have a lot of information on here that I think is amazing. At one point they also talk about the war games, the war games that went incredibly wrong because the people that put it together, couldn't stay, so they had to leave, which was totally in their right because everything was ridiculous and their room wasn't comped. So people put together, some sort of war games situation, but people were being told that Cafe had code words in a packet of papers to give to them or something, and people were showing up, and the staff was like, they had no clue at Cafe, what they were supposed to be doing with war games. So there was just bad communication there, and whoever tried to put something together for war games, like, I get it, you were probably working with nothing. But still, that goes back to the organizers. It's all their fault because the people that originally put together war games, they would have been there if the room would have been comped appropriately like they expected, but it wasn't. So it came down on staff to basically pick up all of the scraps and put a convention together, out of nothing. And also what I think is really great is that, Micah was putting posts on both public and staff Discords, trying to tell everybody what was going on and trying to, communicate as much as possible. Also, they were in charge of like 4 different things and they were all over the place doing all these different things. Part 3 of their videos talk about war games and how people would yell at the Cafe workers, and there's some people that were really upset, and I can't imagine being a staff member at this event because you're there, you're running on nothing, you're running on fumes, you have no food, you're just exhausted, and people are mad at you, and none of this is your fault. It's just incredibly annoying and sad. And they also mentioned on Saturday they went to Costco for food. They put in an order and I guess got it delivered. I'm not sure, but so yeah, all the food was being provided by the people that worked there for nothing and got nothing out of it. I just think it's incredibly ridiculous what happened to them. Micah also mentioned in their videos that they had a way for people to make donations to Make-A-Wish in the cafe, just live there with a card, I guess. So a little over $100 was donated in person to Make-A-Wish. So Micah mentioned how they had a way for people to make donations on the spot, and so they got about $100, which is great for Make-A-Wish. We looked at the website earlier, and we talked about how all proceeds for cafe would go to Make-A-Wish Foundation. So they were supposed to donate the proceeds from the cafe and the donations received ad hoc, in the cafe, all to Make-A-Wish.
Quick update about the Make-A-Wish thing. Part of my outfit, I'm trying to do my yard work. Okay, I spoke with Lancaster Make-A-Wish. Now, the woman that I spoke to did confirm that last year they had made contact with the chairs about the donation. She said that she had not known that the convention had moved locations up until recently. She also said that it was recently there was contact made and the promise of a donation was put forward. I have asked for her email, and she has agreed that she will let me know when the check has been received. She is not allowed to tell me how much. If anybody has a ballpark estimate of how much they believe, if you were especially staff or collecting donations, if you can give me the estimate and why you believe that number is what it is, I will forward it along. My whole plot on this is basically to make sure that Make-A-Wish receives the money. She did say that technically that money should go to Maryland because they were in that district. But if they can get it over there, that's great. That's marvelous. They should do this. This was a promise. So I am also going to say, though, this doesn't absolve them. It doesn't. Because personally, with everything that I know, everything that everyone is coming to understand, this can be a fair attempt to save face. Perhaps if we never even brought this up, brought it to light, who's to say that they would actually get it? So that's where we're at now. As soon as they receive in Lancaster the donation amount, I will let everybody know and show the email. That is it. I'm going to attempt to do my yard because it is out of control. I love you guys. Goodbye.
Okay, so that is Endalyn on TikTok. I highly suggest that you go follow Endalyn if you want some updates about what's going on with this whole mess. They make a lot of great videos talking about everything that's going on. They were a vendor that was invited to the event. So yes, there's no proof that Once Upon a Con has made any payment to the Make-A-Wish Foundation whatsoever. So there's nothing, not yet at least, no word. And also, I do agree with Endalyn, like, even if they do make this donation, it doesn't, like, erase everything that they've done. They still owe so much money to so many other people. It doesn't absolve them from all of their past sins. So they need to make this donation. This needs to happen. And I hope that they move forward with that. Also, the fact that the staff was literally running the cafe, stocking it with their own food that they bought themselves, also decorations, like they had to put together everything themselves, and so there's just no excuse for that. And so they owe doubly. They owe to Make-A-Wish, they owe to all the staff that spent all of their money and time putting together a good experience for the attendees. They did the best that they possibly could given what they had. And so I'll show a couple images here of some of the food that people had at cafe. I mean, literally, we're doing what we can, right? Like, that's what was happening at this event. Like, the staff members being like, okay, we're in DC, we're downtown, we're homeless, and now we got to go buy food somewhere, and we got to put together a great experience for these attendees. So these people who stayed, wow, they're just saints, in my opinion. They said that they were going to comp rooms. They still haven't comped rooms for anyone that they were contractually obligated to pay for staff, guests, and vendors. And, it's very unusual for vendors to get comped for rooms, but they said that they were going to do that. And the vendor showed up with the full understanding that they were going to get their room comped. And first-year cons, I don't see how a first-year con could comp all of these rooms also at an extremely expensive hotel. It's just they were setting themselves up for failure on this one. And so if they couldn't pay for the rooms, why did they even try? I don't understand. Is it just stupidity? Is it not understanding how to make a budget? What is it? Bad organization? I think they were just so desperate for people to come to their con that they were like, oh, we'll comp you, you know, for your room. And all these people showed up, and then they were like, actually, never mind. We just said that because we wanted you to come to this con. Many people, I don't blame them, they just left and cut their losses, but many other people stayed and paid for a hotel that they didn't expect to have to pay for. So we have radio silence right now about the room situation. There are some individuals that are putting together a list of authors who were at the event, and the best thing you could do now is to look up any authors or vendors that were at this event and go support them. What you can do now is go to the Once Upon a Con website, unfortunately, sorry, and then look down at Author Alley under events. So go to events and Author Alley. You'll see a list of all of the authors that were at this Once Upon a Con, and you can click their social media links and you can go follow them and you can go support them. I'm not going to link directly to Once Upon a Con's website here in my description, but if I do get a list of authors that were at Once Upon a Con along with links and ways to support them, I will put that in the description of my video. There's also a doubloon necklace. So we have Emma at Vital Jewelry Co. So they're creating a really gorgeous doubloon necklace, and you can get that through their website, Vital Jewelry Co. And I'm going to link that in the description. And it's just like a gorgeous little necklace. And if you go to their TikTok, they show off what it looks like. So definitely go check that out from them. I'll link the website for Vital Jewelry Co., but I'm also going to link Emma's TikTok account. They're a very new jewelry retailer, and so they get their items custom made, and they're all really great quality. And I watched all the videos and I looked at everything, and I really want this necklace. It looks so cute. They do lots of fantasy jewelry and things like that. So if you want to support a new creator, a new jewelry company, definitely go check it out. And then the proceeds for that doubloon, 60-70% or something like that, are going to go to people who need money after this event. So that's all I have right now. It's a lot, you know, going on, and I didn't expect to make so many videos about Once Upon a Con, but things keep happening and things keep coming out about this, and I refuse to stop talking about it. There's not a ton of people talking about Once Upon a Con, in my opinion, and we should be talking about this until the authors get paid, until we get some information. So if there's more information coming out about Once Upon a Con, I will be sure to let you know. I post every Thursday and every Sunday. I'm a very new YouTuber. If you look at my channel, I haven't posted that many videos, and I just started posting in August. So if you want to support me and subscribe, I would be so happy. Thank you so much. If you want to like my video, I really appreciate that as well. If you want to leave me a comment, were you at Once Upon a Con? Is there anything else we can be doing to support you? If you're an author, if you are staff, or whatever it might be, what can we do? And yeah, just let us know. But yes, thank you so much for your time and attention watching this video, and have a good rest of your day. Bye.